नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी. So continuing with the discussion on Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 6, Dhyana Yoga, text 33 onwards. Yoyam yogastvaya prokta samyan madhusudanam etasyaham na pashyami chanchalatvat sthitim sthitaram. Arjun said, O Madhusudan, the system of yoga, which you have summarized, appears impractical and undurable to me, for the mind is loose and unsteady. And this is what Arjun is saying 5,000 years ago. Arjun, who's constant companion of Krishna, who's completely, he has all the senses in his control, most of the time, if not all the time. He is saying this system of yoga is impractical. And it means it's not sustainable. You cannot do it for long time. And another Krishna as Madhusudan means you kill the demon Madhu, or Madhu also means the sweetness that attracts the mind and the senses. You kill that. You can do that. The system of mysticism described by network issues that kicked me out.
Yeah.
The system of mysticism described by Lord Krishna to Arjuna, beginning with the words Shucho Deshe and ending with Yogi Parma, is here being rejected by Arjuna out of a feeling of inability. It is not possible for an ordinary man to leave home and go to a secluded place in the mountains or jungles to practice yoga in this age of Kali. Not at all practical, not at all possible. Some go there in the mountains or jungles. Some still go in, like as we see, towards Haridwar, Rishikesh, and maybe other places also. But it's not practical for everybody. The present age is characterized by a bitter struggle for a life of short duration. People are not serious about self-realization, even by simple practical means. And what to speak of this difficult yoga system, which regulates the mode of living, the manner of sitting, selection of place, and detachment of the mind from material engagements. As a practical man, Arjun thought it was impossible to follow this system of yoga, even though he was favorably endowed in many ways. He belonged to the royal family and was highly elevated in terms of numerous qualities. He was a great warrior. He had great longevity, and above all, he was the most intimate friend of Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So 5,000 years ago, Arjun had much better facilities than we do now. Yet he refused to accept this system of yoga. Although, after the war, Dhritarashtra went to the forest. Vidurji took him. Dhritarashtra and Gandhari, they went to the forest for final meditation, and they left the body. He brought the fire element out of his body and burnt. But that was at the end of his life. Even the Pandavas went to the forest when they left everything. And Krishna had left, they left the kingdom and they went. But that wasn't for self-realization, which Krishna is talking about here in this chapter. And Prabhupada says, in fact, we do not find any record in the history of his practicing it at any time. Therefore, this system must be considered generally impossible in this age of Kali. Of course, it may be possible for some very few rare men, but for the people in general, it is an impossible proposal. If this were so 5,000 years ago, then what of the present day? Those who are imitating this yoga system in different so-called schools and societies, although complacent, are certainly wasting their time. They're completely in ignorance of the desired goal. So, of course, some people will say, well, it is still helping me by going to the yoga studios. Well, one is not getting the desired goal that is mentioned by Krishna in this chapter. They might get some peace, because any kind of yoga is helpful. So might get some peace, some better control of their body and the senses. But that's about it. But this is not what Dhyan Yoga is all about. And it is difficult because not just sitting down and or meditating on the Supreme Lord within the heart, there are other aspects also to see everybody equally. Who's performing yoga and does that? Hardly anybody, or nobody maybe. So like Prabhupada is saying, they're imitating this yoga system. Actually, they're making a mockery of yoga, a yoga system. Can you hold on just? Sorry. So they're making a mockery of the yoga system because they call it yoga, but it's not actually yoga, what they do. And people then later on, they'll think, oh, this was yoga, what rishis and munis performed in the forest for thousands of years. And those who want to make money out of it, they'll sell anything in the name of yoga. Because people just don't know. Sitting down any place, even at home, make the room dark, sit down quietly for even 10 minutes. It'll make you feel better. And if you put on some music of Om or something like that, whatever, it'll just make somebody feel better. And he'll think, I'm doing yoga, I'm in meditation. There's no meditation. And this is what Arjun said. Even he said, whatever you're saying, the perfect thing, it's very difficult. Cannot do it. Why? He says, Chanchalam himanaha Krishna pramati balvadranam tasyaham nigraham manye vayorev sudushkaram. The mind is restless, turbulent, obstinate, and very strong. Oh Krishna, and to subdue it, I think, is more difficult than controlling the wind. Controlling the wind, just like we had this Idalia hurricane lately. Arjun saying, for me to control a hurricane like that, it's easy than to control my mind. Can we imagine? Controlling the wind is easier. The mind is so strong and obstinate that it sometimes all the time or most of the time, overcomes the intelligence, although the mind is supposed to be subservient to the intelligence. So the subtle bodies, mind, intelligence, false ego in these this order. So intelligence is more subtle than the mind and is supposed to control the mind. It's supposed to be stronger than the mind. The mind takes over. For a man in the practical world who has to fight so many opposing elements, it is certainly very difficult to control the mind. Artificially, one may establish a mental equilibrium toward both friend and enemy. But ultimately, no worldly man can do so, for this is more difficult than controlling the raging wind. This is how mind is described. Actually, it's also described as a monkey who's gone mad and who has been fed datura. Datura is even stronger intoxicant than alcohol. So good luck controlling that monkey. So mind is like that. And not only that, it's restless, turbulent, obstinate, and very strong. How to control it? In the Vedic literature, Kathopanishad, it is said, Atmanam Rathinam Vidhi, Shariram Ratham Evacha. The individual or the soul is a passenger in the car of the material body, and intelligence is a driver. Mind is a driving instrument, and the senses are the horses. So mind is a driving instrument, means that braid or the lagam, that is mind. The self is thus the enjoyer or sufferer in the association of the mind and senses. So it is understood by great thinkers. So this is how it is described in the scriptures. The connection between body, mind, and the senses, and intelligence. Intelligence is a driver. But if the mind does not want to listen to the driver and just lets the senses or the horses go whichever direction they want to go, then good luck for the passenger. Intelligence is supposed to direct the mind, but the mind is so strong and obstinate that it often overcomes even one's own intelligence, as an acute infection may surpass the efficacy of the medicine. So purpose of the yoga system is to control the mind. That's the whole, and control the mind and use it in the proper direction. But this is how mind is made by Krishna. It's very difficult. Such a strong mind is supposed to be controlled by the practice of yoga. But such practice is never practical for a worldly person like Arjuna or the Dhyana Yoga, which is described in this chapter. And what can we say of modern man? The simile used here is appropriate. One cannot capture the blowing wind, and it is even more difficult to capture the turbulent mind. And really, if we sit down and think of games of the mind, how it plays and how it takes us on the wrong path, only after looking back we can realize, oh man, why did I do this? Why did I say this? But it's not like it is impossible. It is restless, it is obstinate, it is turbulent, but it's not impossible to control the mind. Because if it was impossible, as Prabhupada said, the practice of yoga or the process of yoga is to first control the mind and use it properly. If it was impossible to control, then we won't be able to get out of this material world to attain perfection of yoga. then the whole system of Krishna coming, sending scriptures, sending his devotees to take us back would be useless. And Krishna wouldn't want us to rot here, suffer here in the material forever. It cannot be. We are part and parcel of Krishna. We belong to the spiritual world. We don't belong here. So Krishna has to give us a process by which we would be able to go back home, back to Godhead. Okay, mind is difficult to control, restless, turbulent, everything, fine. But what is a possible way in every yoga? This Dhyana Yoga was possible in Satya Yoga, not in Kali Yoga. So for Kali Yuga, he has given a process. The Prabhupada says, the easiest way to control the mind, as suggested by Lord Chaitanya, is chanting Hare Krishna. The great mantra for deliverance in all humility. So chanting in all humility. Of course, to come to the perfect stage of chanting, that takes time. For that, one has to try to control the mind and engage the mind in other services of Krishna, chanting and reading and serving personally and other things. One has to do. Even then, mind plays games. Oh no, it's too early. Why get up now to chant? You have the whole day to chant. Oh, I'm feeling tired right now. Why chant right now? I have so many things to do. I have to make phone calls. Mind will keep on playing games. But we means the soul has to set the priority for the mind to follow. And we keep on doing it slowly, 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 because the process is so sweet. Krishna's name is so sweet. We start enjoying it. So then it's not a matter of, I have to do it. Then it's a matter of, I love to do it. I want to do it. So then we start tasting the sweetness. Then mind will, again, while chanting, mind will go here and there. It's not that 16 rounds, it will be perfect, hearing and chanting. No. Mind will go. But the job is to bring it back. Not to give up chanting, bring it back. And another aspect of chanting is when we are chanting, when we are beginning to chant properly, as Mahaprabhu said, Cheto Darpana Marjanam, the mirror of the heart starts to get cleansed. It's cleansing, cleaning the mirror of the heart. So just like in the house, if there is so much of dirt everywhere, and we take up a broom and start cleaning. So dirt will slowly, we'll put it in a bucket or so to throw it away. But the finer particles of dust, they will be up in the air, and they will disturb the person who's cleaning. So same thing in our heart. There's so many unfulfilled or partially unfulfilled desires for so many lifetimes. Mind is a storehouse of all those desires. And when we are chanting, we're cleaning the heart of all these desires, removing them, so to replace them with the desire of service of Krishna only. And when we are cleaning those desires, so many desires will go up in the air and disturb us more. They will come up in the front of our heart. And no, you have to fulfill this desire. You have to. So it's experience of practically everybody, uh, depending upon what stage of spiritual advancement they are at. We are experiencing so many material desires that they were not there when I was not chanting. Maybe chanting is bringing those desires in. No. Chanting is cleaning those desires. So some of them are just shooting up and disturbing us. But the idea is not to to fall to try to fulfill those desires. Just let them go. Let them be there, and we take shelter of Krishna, Radharani, holy name, Mahaprabhu. And those desires will slowly go away. And even if, I mean, this is a journey of lifetimes, 1, 2, 10, maybe I don't know how many, depending upon the person. So even if somebody tries, because the desires are very strong, and mind becomes strong. So if somebody tries to fulfill those desires, and whether he becomes successful, he gets frustrated, whatever. But if he's still trying to make progress, trying to follow, one should be compassionate towards him, help him, instead of rejecting him. One should, whatever situation that person is in, we could be in the same situation tomorrow, or we were in the same situation yesterday. So this is all the theme of the mind. Of course, Krishna's name, Krishna is more powerful than the mind. Even this intelligence is more powerful. Soul is even more powerful than the mind. And Krishna definitely is infinitely more powerful than our mind. He is a Rishikesha, he is a controller or lord of all the senses of everybody. So for him, it's not difficult to control the mind, control our mind. But he doesn't. He can help, but he doesn't control everybody's mind because he doesn't want robots. He wants us to love him. And if we cannot control the mind or the desires are troubling us, he wants us to take shelter of him out of love. And he's there to help. In second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada says, Arjun was bewildered by the Yog Maya of Krishna. He wasn't bewildered on his own. That's how much control he has on his mind and the senses. But Krishna wanted to give this message of Gita, so he made Arjuna as an instrument. So the point is, it's not at all impossible to control the mind, and for Krishna, it's very easy. So when we surrender, as Krishna says in 18th chapter, Sarva Dharman Parityaja Mam Ekam Sharanam Raja. Instead of surrendering to our dictations of the mind, surrendering to so many other things in the world, we just surrender unto Krishna. And when we surrender means that we follow the instructions of Krishna completely, without deviation, without adding our tadka in that. Completely following. In the process, it takes time to follow the process. Fine. But what will happen is we'll get purified of all the desires, unwanted desires, anarthas, and then we become eligible to go back to the spiritual world. This is a whole program. It's not like Krishna is like a tyrant and trying to make us surrender and become slave so that he can enjoy our riding his chariot over us. No. He loves every living entity all over the universe, in all the countless material universes, and in the spiritual world also. He loves everyone. So he wants us to come back. But this is the process of going back. It just sounds difficult, sounds very painful. It's not at all painful, actually. It's all, mind says, oh, it's painful, don't do it. Go watch a movie, that is beneficial, that is more entertaining. No. But this is how mind plays games, plenty of games. And Prabhupada said the easiest way to control the mind, as suggested by Lord Chaitanya, is chanting Hare Krishna, the great mantra for deliverance in all humility. The method prescribed is Savai Manaha Krishna Padaravindayo. One must engage one's mind fully in Krishna. Only then will there remain no other engagements to agitate the mind. If we engage our mind fully in Krishna, of course, that fully in Krishna, it takes time. It takes time, and it takes association of devotees to help us to engage ourselves fully. So we help each other, actually. So Arjun has given his arguments. What does Krishna says? Shri Bhagwan Vacha Asanchayam Mahabaho Mano Durnigraham Chalam Abhyasena tu Kaunteya Vairagena cha Grihate. Lord Shri Krishna said, O mighty armed son of Kunti, it is undoubtedly very difficult to curb the restless mind. But it is possible by suitable practice and by detachment. So Krishna is trying to inspire, motivate Arjuna. He's calling him Mahabaho, you're mighty armed. Means you can control anything. This is how powerful you are. But here your mighty arms are not required. What is required is abhyas and vairagya, practice and detachment. And then he calls him Kaunteya. He doesn't call him Arjuna. You're son of Kunti. And look at Kunti, how much she went through to raise all of you Pandavas. She didn't give up. So you are son of that mother Kunti. So don't give up. The difficulty of controlling the obstinate mind as expressed by Arjuna is accepted by the personality of Godhead. But at the same time, he suggests that by practice and detachment, it is possible. And what's that practice? In the present age, no one can observe the strict rules and regulations of placing oneself in a sacred place, focusing the mind on the super soul, restraining the senses and mind, observing celibacy, remaining alone, etc. By the practice of Krishna consciousness, however, one engages in 9 types of devotional service to the Lord. So 9 types. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmanivedanam. So 9 processes are there. We can engage in 1, 2, 3, or all 9, whatever we like. Or there could be more of 1, lesser of 2, something like that. Any permutation combination possible. If we do that, mind slowly comes in control. The first and foremost of such devotional engagements is hearing about Krishna. This is a very powerful transcendental method for purging the mind of all misgivings. The more one hears about Krishna, the more one becomes enlightened and detached from everything that draws the mind away from Krishna. So Maya is there to take us away from Krishna, but again, Maya is Krishna's energy. She's not something else. And Krishna's energy is not more powerful than Krishna. So when we start hearing about Krishna, Shravanam starts at Shravanam, then slowly, the hold of Maya, the stronghold of Maya, it starts getting loosened. By detaching the mind from activities not devoted to the Lord, one can very easily learn Vairagya. Vairagya means detachment from matter, and real Vairagya is engagement of the mind in spirit, or engagement of mind in Krishna. That is real Vairagya. Because once detaching from the mind from material and not attaching it to something else, it will go back to the matter. It has to be attached. It has to be connected somewhere. So that somewhere is Krishna. But this process, by detaching the mind from activities not devoted to the Lord, so for that comes intelligence. So we have to see if my time is well spent or not. Where am I spending my time? Sometimes we say, oh, this person will feel bad, or that person will feel bad if I don't do it. But what about Krishna, who's feeling bad if I'm not using that time in his service? This person or that person, our relationship is only for one lifetime and for few years in this lifetime. It doesn't mean that we do not have any relationships, but we have to see every day how much time I'm wasting by not engaging my mind or my body in service of Krishna. That we have to see and judge ourselves. Okay, today I wasted, but tomorrow let me be more careful, use my time more intelligently. Because any moment wasted, it's not going to come back. It's so precious. And with the passing of every moment, every hour, every day, every week, we are losing our life. Our age is going down. We are getting closer and closer to death with every passing of moment. How intelligently. I mean, if there's a businessman, he makes sure every moment he is spending trying to make more money, expand his business. But that business will only remain there for one lifetime, if he doesn't go bankrupt in this life, whatever happens. But here, whatever moments, whatever time we are using, spending in service of Krishna, it goes in our bank account and remains there eternally. We don't lose that money. So, which opulence is more important, more precious? Temporary or permanent? Bank balance. So, but with intelligence, we have to try to control the mind and use it in the right place, in the right way. Impersonal spiritual detachment is more difficult than attaching the mind to the activities of Krishna. So Vairagya Prabhupada explained, impersonal spiritual detachment. People talk about, uh, should be detached, or let the mind um, be free, vacant. You cannot have vacant mind. Mind means storehouse of desires. So some desires will always be there. Even the desire for the mind to be desireless is a desire. But better to attach the mind to the activities of Krishna. This is practical because by hearing about Krishna, one becomes automatically attached to the Supreme Spirit. This attachment is called Paresha Anubhuti, spiritual satisfaction, or Paresh Anubhuti. Paresh means Krishna and his Anubhuti. This is attachment. It's just like the feeling of satisfaction a hungry man has for every morsel of food he eats. So three things happen when we are eating. Feeling of satisfaction, the more one eats while hungry, the more one feels satisfaction and strength. So these three things happen. His hunger goes away, his he feels satisfied, and he feels nourished. And similarly, when we do bhakti pareshanubhav viraktiranyatra. So one makes advancement in bhakti. Paresh anubhav means he feels satisfaction, or he feels experience of Paresh, of Krishna. And virakti anyatra. He automatically gets detached from everything else. So by doing bhakti, three things happen automatically. Just like when we eat, when a hungry man eats, then these three things happen automatically. Similarly, by discharge of devotional service, one feels transcendental satisfaction as the mind becomes detached from material objectives. It is something like curing a disease by expert treatment and appropriate diet. Curing a disease by expert treatment and appropriate diet. So hearing of the transcendental activities of Lord Krishna is therefore expert treatment for the mad mind. And eating the foodstuff offered to Krishna is the appropriate diet for the suffering patient. This treatment is a process of Krishna consciousness. So hearing or other activities, and eating foodstuff offered to Krishna. So that's like taking medicine and the proper diet. So if we do that, yes, we can become Krishna conscious, we can control the mind. It's not impossible. Text 36. Asayatatman mana yogo dushprapiti me mati vashyatmana tu yatata shakyo avaptam upayataha. For one whose mind is unbridled, means uncontrolled, self-realization is difficult work. But he whose mind is controlled and who strives by appropriate means is assured of success. That is my opinion. Strives by appropriate means, not just by some other means. The Supreme Personality of Godhead declares that one who does not accept the proper treatment to detach the mind from material engagement can hardly achieve success in self-realization. Trying to practice yoga while engaging the mind in material enjoyment is like trying to ignite a fire while pouring water on it. So, good luck for those who are trying to do this dhyana yoga. Mind is in material enjoyment, but we say we are doing yoga. Yoga practice without mental control is a waste of time. Such a show of yoga may be materially lucrative, but it is useless as far as spiritual realization is concerned. Therefore, one must control the mind by engaging it constantly in the transcendental, loving service of the Lord. So, unless one is engaged in Krishna consciousness, he cannot steadily control the mind. Cannot steadily control the mind. Maybe able to control for a few minutes or few hours. That's about it. A Krishna conscious person easily achieves the result of yoga practice without separate endeavor. But a yoga practitioner cannot achieve success without becoming Krishna conscious. So a Krishna conscious person easily achieves the result of yoga practice without separate endeavor. So one does not need to try to control the mind in bhakti yoga process. It's automatically drawn to Krishna, automatically tasting the sweetness of bhakti. So it doesn't need to go anywhere else. And with bhakti, gyan and vairagya, actually, gyan also comes and vairagya also comes when we develop bhakti. So don't need to do anything specifically for that. So it's such a powerful process. And in that powerful process of bhakti yoga, Mahaprabhu has given it a simpler, very simple process of chanting of the holy names. That's it. Just sit down and chant. Walk and chant, dance and chant. And this chanting can be done at any time. Cooking, we can chant. Bathing, we can chant. Driving, we can chant. Of course, driving, try not to chant on the beats, but we can chant by our tongue. While working on computer, we can put on some bhajan and kirtan or chanting, and we can work. So even if the kirtan is going in the background, we are listening to it at least. So that is bhakti. There's so many processes, so many ways. So that helps ultimately in controlling the mind and engaging the mind properly, the right way, the right direction. Okay, then we can achieve the result of dhyana yoga practice easily. Okay, I guess I can stop here. See anybody has any questions or comments? Okay, you all have a safe and wonderful day and enjoy Janmashtami festival this day.
Thank you,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna. Jai Shri Ram.
Happy Janmashtami.